Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this in the morning. 15 minutes to Mitzvah Hashem. Change our lives. Look at Sifs Chelek Aleph, Parshas Vayikra. Okay. So, as I said yesterday, this is especially today. It's an honest, a very honest class. And the way the Rebbe talks, this is like I told you yesterday, how it's important if you understand, consider this properly. Then you understand this in context. Because we're going to talk about doing a cheshbon, a proper cheshbon, and realizing where we're holding. And when we realize it, again, its purpose is not to get us down, but if you don't know, if you're not going to be honest with yourself and with the situation, we can never change ourselves. We can never be in the right place if we don't know, if we don't recognize we're in the wrong place. Let's see. Let's get straight into it. Daled. Kasher, Yasik. We've been talking about, we're talking about what's the in the past of Adam Kiyakim Mikem, when we bring out when we want to come close to Hashem, it comes from ourselves. And we talked about there's two levels. There's Nefesh Bahamis, Nefesh Lekis, and ultimately we talked about how you have to use Nefesh Bahamis. The Nefesh Lekis inside itself is very limited. Nefesh Bahamis can reach a level way above and beyond. But it's and like we said, the difference. How do we see this? By the difference by lachem, carbon lavai. But when I'm talking about that's the term nefesh lekis. When we're talking about mikem, we say the pasuk goes on kiyakim mikem carbon lavai. The one that comes mikem for nefesh lekis, it's carbon lavai to the level of havai, level of godliness, which is called havai. Whereas by nefesh bahamis, when it's talking about the actual carbon, it says, there should be before Avai, which means even higher level. They're getting the Nefesh Bahamis involved, recognizing when my Nefesh Bahamis is talking, and then recognizing how to use that app for good is the highest. And I'll tell you, I don't know what was a day or two ago, I was talking to my wife about this, and I'm like, I had some thoughts. What was going on? I was trying to figure something out. And I'm like, I'm not sure if it's my Nefesh Bahamis, Nefesh Lekis. I mean, it wasn't something bad. But and this is the idea that we're meant to be doing. When we're talking about this, we have to understand we have to know when the thoughts of Nefesh Bahamis, when the thoughts of Nefesh Lekis. Some of them are obvious. When I want to come and daven and learn, it's coming from Nefesh Lekis. When I want to go eat, it's coming from Nefesh Bahamis. But the idea is to understand these thoughts and these people speaking within us. And so then, and ultimately what we're saying is that we push ourselves and when we tap into Nefesh Bahamis and we use it out for the good. This is sort of the best way to do it. And then we continue going on this discussion of the behemoth, of the carbonates. And we say part of bringing the carbon has to be that it's tamim, has to be complete, pure. So I have to check the Nefesh Bahamis, the animal we're going to bring up is clean, is pure, no blemishes. Now, if we're going to be honest, we all know we have blemishes. No, we're not perfect. And that's what we're discussing today. Adam when a person is going to do that avodah of searching themselves, and will meditate as an honest accounting on ourselves, where we're holding. So we'll come to a conclusion probably. Even if we're not going to be at this moment part of doing Averis, which we could very likely be. I think Averis is not. It's not like we're bad people. It just means we give it to Nefesh Bahamis. And it could be simple ones like not benching or not washing a negel or not davening properly or saying all the davening or doing whatever it is, forgetting stuff. So these simple things, it could be doing, even if you're not doing anything wrong like that now, but that from the past, even ein hu berega zeh balavera hare v'chatasi neg tamid. Like it says in the pasuk that I think it's the Tehillim, that my sins are with me constantly. Chaldei Mishachar Venuurav, that the sins of my youth, even if we haven't done any sins, but even the sins from the youth, and in general, Gam Elu, Misha'ava Lifnei, even these ones that were before Bar Mitzvah we did. Nishara Dayin, they still stay. Shekain Eloi Tiknam Lagam, we didn't completely fix them. It's very interesting what he's saying here. And when I read this, I was like, it's very like powerful, very like intense. And basically what he's saying is even the Aveis we did before Bar Bas Mitzvah, still there. And the point is, from what it says in Tanya, it says that even that I think it was David Melech said, they told me that my sins are with me constantly, meaning even though you do tshuva, when you do tshuva, you reach a high level. So then you can do a better form of tshuva. Meaning, and in the simple sense, think about it in terms of let's say relationship. You did something wrong, and you say sorry. That's great. But when you mature, you realize, hey, like you can say sorry again. Like a better example is when it was like a kid. If you're young, you did something wrong, your parents, and you said sorry at the time. You had to say sorry, whatever. You'll force to say sorry. But when you mature up a little bit, and you're like, wow, how did I do that? It was so not nice. And you come back to your parents and say, I'm really sorry what I did. A few years ago, or even after and I remember when I had to have kids. It's only raising kids, and it's like the amount of effort you have to put in, and it's like intense. And then you realize what your parents did for you, just keeping you alive. But it's amount of effort, not including all the good stuff they did. And so I remember telling my parents, like, thank you so much for all that you did, raising me. And so he's saying that even if you don't have the sins now, Baruch Hashem, which is great, and you're not doing any of these things, for sure there's things in the past. And the proof that we didn't complete it, what was from the past, what's the proof? We didn't have complete tshuva. We didn't totally come back to being the best place possible. Because if we had done tshuva properly, or not properly, done tshuva to the level that is required, we would be in a better place. Our avodah would be a much better level. The proof that in the past we were in a land that was barren and desolate. Recognizing that we're in a desert, dry place, but we're not connected, that should affect us enough that it should transform us to have this great love for godliness and desire. The greatest amount of love to Hashem, to the point that we can transform all the negative to the positive. But we know that our life's not like that. We haven't been transformed. We're not living on fire, and we haven't taken all the Averos and used them to transform ourselves. We're still struggling. We're still in the mud, unfortunately. But what we're saying is, and this is a very important point. We're not saying, and this is what I remember. I used to say this to myself a lot. Probably still do. Just don't recognize it as much. But what we say to ourselves is, I'm bad, let me go, like, so to speak, I'm sinking, or I'm drowning, and let me go up to get some water. But what we're trying to say is, if we doing tshuva is not, I'm a bad, and let me become not so bad. Tshuva is, I'm good, and let me reveal that goodness, and let me push myself to reveal how good I am, and let me reach out to a high level. Because like you said, if we did it properly, life would be so much different. And if we're still struggling, and we have these like struggles when we're honest with ourselves, or that we're embarrassed to even talk about because it's so petty, that means we're not holding this in this level. And again, what we're talking about, it's a very honest, but it's a very beautiful honest. It's not I'm bad, and look how bad I am. And even if you think you're good, maybe the old version of me, and I'm sure a lot of people, unfortunately, they learn this. They're like, what we're essentially saying is you're bad. And if you think you're good, but you don't have any Averos, but you have Averos from the past, for sure you're bad. That's not what we're saying. We're saying is, we should be on fire. We should be going crazy as the Rosh from California, Rosh Yeshiva. He's a very tough, strong person. He had his 80th birthday. And something that I heard him ring many years ago, and I see nothing has changed. If it rings about, he went to the Rabbi, to Yichidus. And then when I heard this the first time, I remember it blew me away. And now it makes so much sense. See, he was by there for Yichidus. He's a big Talmud Chacham, he's a big genius, he's a guy, and he's a big chassid. And he came to the Rebbe, and the Rebbe asked him, so you wrote a tetzel, he spent basically the whole day, writing your note, what are you going to give into the Rebbe? So you have a lot of time to think about it, to make sure these are exactly the words you want. It's what you want to tell the Rebbe, and what you want to request. So he did that, comes into the Chiddush, he gives it to the Rebbe, and then he says to him, he reads through it, and he goes, do you have anything else to ask that wasn't written here? So the guy spent his whole day trying to figure it out, and he's trying to rack his brain, what is this? So I asked him again, and again he's trying to think, what could it be? I don't know. And then the third time they're asking me, the Rebbe says to him, he goes, listen, before I answer your stuff and I get into what I want to talk to you about, do you have any more questions? So he meaning in his head, I guess he realized I have to have a question here. So he burst out crying and he says, how do I do tshuva? He was a serious dude. He's serious. He means it. And even though he grew up from I think he's from a literature background, and he did a lot of, he davened, he learned, did all the right things. And I'm sure, I don't know, but I don't think there's anything too bad. And he's like, how do I do tshuva? And he burst out crying. So the Rebbe told him, it's classic. He goes, I see that the tshuva is not going to be through simcha. And so by his 80, so I heard him say this, 15 years ago. And by his birthday for being 80 years old, he told this story over again. And he goes, I still struggle with this. I don't know how to do tshuva simcha. He goes, if you guys can help me. And they got up and they danced. So the point is, we're not here, I come to say we're bad. And if you think you're good, but you didn't do anything wrong now, but you did things wrong before, so you're still bad. The point I'm trying to say that life should be amazing. We should be excited and pumped. And people look at you like, wow. They say about Tzvibon from Marstown, Oliver Shalom. He was a very holy person, and he knew the whole Kula, really in and out. And they say that people became frum just by seeing him in the air. He didn't talk to them. I don't know how they found out about this, but they say that he was once in the airport, and he's a very holy-looking Jew, really. And he was walking, and someone saw him, and it just affected him. And this is how we should be. When people look at us oh, what's that person on? What are they living? What are they so excited about? Wow, I want to be like them. That's how we should be. And if we're not, so what we're saying is, because we're not living up to the potential, we got to recognize, hey, there's things that are holding us back, even if we're not doing anything wrong now. And so nothing's getting in the way of us being that way. But why are we still not there? It's because in the past, there's still things we've got to deal with. And that's what we're saying. And on the contrary, when we meditate on a situation as it is in truth, without wanting to be soft on ourselves, the Ram says, and not in a way that we want to fool ourselves. We recognize kihu nasun b'matzav hafel. We're given over to the wrong places. It's not just we haven't managed to transform all the mistakes, all the averos, to positive as catalyst to help us change. That hasn't happened. But it got even worse. And therefore we're drawn to do averos. One sin bleeds to another. We're not holding in the right place, and we're being pulled in the wrong direction. When we're honest with ourselves and we recognize this is what it is, so therefore we realize there's a problem. We've got to work on ourselves, because what we should be having all these things that we did in the past, all mistakes, and all these mistakes that we're making, there should be opportunities to recognize, to transform ourselves, that these become not just the not averos anymore, for the tshuva, but there were the catalysts to push us to become a higher level, like we said in the last week's sikha, that the malkush bal tshuva imdim, the place of bal tshuva stands, the tzaddik can't stand. Because we take that negative, that thing that was a problem, and we learn how to use that out to teach us, to make us even better. Finish it off. Meaning, this situation of my sins are in front of me always. It's not just that now my situation, the tshuva that I did in the past wasn't enough, but I did do a high level of tshuva, like we said before. That now the person hasn't done anything wrong, but the tshuva that I did for the past could always be done better, because now I'm more mature. And that's not what we're talking about. Even the Rebbe says, "Ella gambam b'china zu sheloi tikin klasav in Yonov." But we're talking even worse, that we haven't even fixed up, we haven't even learned from our mistakes. Ultimately, we're having there's a curtain that's being separating between us and Hashem. That's where we're holding. That gets in the way of serving Hashem. When we think about all this, when we recognize the specialness of the karbanos, specialness of being able to bring nefesh bahamis, that it gets consumed from the fire above. That when we recognize, on one hand, I'm holding here. On the other hand, I could be all the way over there. It'd be such a different experience. And all those things that I did in the past that not necessarily were the best can be transformed to make me the greatest person I could have been. And I can take all those talents that I have that until now I've been using for the wrong, in the wrong areas, I'm using for the good. It's such a big transformation. The raza de carbona oila ad raza de insaif, that the carbon can raise up until the secret of the depth of Ein Sof, the depth of the carbon reach the depth of Ein Sof. Harehu shoyles also, so we ask ourselves, Ma loyla carbonos, what's me with the carbonos? Ketzad yurtze the carbon lavai b'shash ein boim masim. I want to bring up a carbon, but I need to do something about this, and that's what we're saying. And this is we have to stop here. I don't want to get too late. But what we're saying is, we have a carbon, we have nefesh bahamis. We got to work on the nefesh bahamis to make it fitting, so we can bring up as a carbon. Because if we do, we can reach the highest of levels. That meaning life could be so much better, so much different. It's not that we could have more, but within ourselves, we see ourselves great. We look at ourselves, man, I'm part of Hashem. And even my nefesh bahamis, which normally wants to go and do other things, I managed to get that involved. That also wants to do this. And like we said before, that with that I can do so much more. And I'm on fire. I'm excited. And that's all I'm trying to do. But if it's not working, we have to make it. So why is it not working? What am I doing wrong? And like we said before, we'll continue saying this, that of course, nothing should ever that we learn here should bring you down. If it leads you to not doing more, then it's coming from the wrong place. Even if what I'm trying to do, what I learned in the Sikha, and I have to be a proper cheder, and I have to really see what's going on. If it's bringing you down, then we miss the point. Not meant to bring us up. Not meant to bring us down, meant to bring us up. And Mitzvah Hashem, by all of us, we should be able to recognize the potential that we have, and we should push ourselves to reach our potential, and should have all that's gained from this, should be connected to Hashem in the best way. And the Mitzvah Hashem will continue tomorrow.